Canyon de Chelly.
Road 191 in Arizona going north up to Canyon de Chelly. We're probably 25 miles from it by now, or at this point in time. Up in that general direction is where Canyon de Chelly probably is. And I'll screen here again so you can get a feel for the barren but majestic landscape in this part of Arizona that we threw the Indians on. These are just some interesting burnt red eroded hills down in this valley. Deep in the canyon you can see the fields there that even today are cultivated in the same manner almost that they were eons ago. We can look way up into that canyon. Now we'll pan a bit to the west. There are no cave dwellings in this area, but we'll get to those pretty soon. I'll walk down here so you can get an idea of what the rest of this viewpoint is like. I hope you get a sense of the sheerness of these walls. I hope you can get a feel for the sheerness of these walls and what a oasis this area is, considering the flat topography around it for many, many miles. A few moments ago we were over on that point, and I didn't know there were any dwellings from this vantage point. Now I'll pan around to right over here. And there in the upper left-hand corner you will see caves there. Now, to give you an idea of how far up they are, we'll pan down. Presumably those were reached from the top. Now we'll pan up from the bottom and show another set right there in the center of your screen. These were probably approached from over here in these more gentle slopes. We are now going over and look at, yes, you guessed it, face rock. Okay, we'll begin a series of shots at 4 different ruins by looking once again at the ruins we just looked at from the last vantage point. And we'll try to focus in on those. They're right in your upper left-hand corner right now. Now we will pan up to a ruin that you will not be able to really see, but it'll give you an idea of the height difference sometimes between these systems. Now, literally in the very upper left-hand corner, you'll see a kind of an angular line that goes from the upper right down to the lower left. And right to the right of that, beneath those 2 vertical stripes, is one small. Now, to look at the third set, we'll start again with the first set of ruins we looked at, and we'll pan almost horizontally along, and then just in this little large, it looks like eroded out area, on the upper right hand corner, you'll see another ruin. And notice the steepness of the rocks immediately below it, and then the rather gradual ascent, relatively speaking, down to the floor of the canyon. And then coming towards us, across the river, and again up this side of the mountain, there, in the upper left-hand corner, is the 4th ruin. And now another sense of the height that we're at. Just a reminding overview of the topography around here. Someone has taken the time to mark this path from the parking area to the overlook by chiseling out footprints. In other instances, the footprints are simply painted. up over the sign, and there directly above it you can see the dwellings. The first set is on the left there, and now moving across is the larger area. And this morning you can hear, although we may not pick it up on this film, apparently coyotes howling down below, although it could be the dogs who are continually watching the sheep. Also down below here you'll see the pretty much ancient but continuous design of house that's used in these areas by these Indians, and also the cultivated fields. Same plots probably cultivated for eons. A small dam. And down below some real live Indians. And panning down through the canyon. I'm going to pan down through this canyon, including the floor of it, so you can get a rough idea. Notice the cattle down below. And in the upper left-hand corner now you'll see ruins. And those are referred to as the White House ruins. And we won't dwell too long on these because in a few minutes I'll hike down there and you'll be able to see them closely. In a few minutes we'll begin the hike, and we'll come through this little crevice in the rock that you see to the right, and then begin down this long trail here, which then descends down into the valley, and then we'll go across to the left behind that rock there, and over to the site. We'll back up a little bit and give you an idea of what this valley looks like. And we'll see it, of course, going down here. Here we are in the crevice. We'll walk through it for whatever that's worth. The striations in this rock is an example of a term which I can't remember, but in essence is the different random layerings of sand and when that sandstone was formed in the original lake. You have to wonder why these caves weren't used, as at least the basis or foundation for primitive dwellings. But then perhaps they were. Not only is this layering effect evident within blocks or levels of the lake bed, then as we pull back, you can see the striations are different in all the differing layers. We're in a tunnel now, carved out of the sandstone that gives final access to the bottom of this canyon and a small farm area. Here also is a good example of the erosion by layers, if you will, of sandstone just due to the elements. This may in part be due to very high waters, although not in a long time, because this farm would not have survived with such waters. That's where we're going, right in there. Dark stain-like material is a desert varnish on which the petroglyphs are normally drawn. Okay, the battery's supposed to be out of energy, so we'll just pan and see what we get. If we get something, good. Over here, you may be able to make out that this is round. From this perspective, perhaps not, but there, focusing on that area, you certainly can see a curve. That's a kiva, normally the site of religious ceremonies restricted to men only. Now this is the view you might have seen here. Again, two circle areas, or rounded areas. Here's the first one dead in front of us. And then a second one over here. Again, sites of religion. It must have been important to people in those days. Shaggy goats are another source of income for the Pueblo Indians. Sheep browse here also right alongside the goats. Oh yes, and over there in the center of your picture is I, black sheep. This is an Indian corral down on the bottom here, just below where we had hiked down from, which, as you can see, is right up there.